Have you ever felt like you're living a life that isn't truly yours? Like you're wearing a mask that was given to you before you even had a chance to choose? From the moment we are born, society begins molding us, teaching us who we should be, what we should desire, and even how we should think. But what if I told you that much of what you believe to be you is merely a construct, an identity shaped by external forces rather than your own true essence? Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, called this the false self, a persona we develop to fit into society while suppressing the deeper, more authentic parts of who we truly are. Today, we're going to unravel how this false identity is created, and more importantly, how you can break free from it. As children, we are like blank canvases, absorbing everything around us: our parents' expectations, cultural norms, religious beliefs, and societal values. At first, we don't question these influences. We assume they are natural, as unquestionable as the air we breathe. But here's the truth: they are not natural. They are constructs, handed down from generation to generation, shaping us into what society deems acceptable. Think about it. How many of your beliefs about success, love, or happiness are truly yours? Did you decide what a good life looks like? Or was it painted for you by others? If you were born in a different family, a different country, a different time, would you still hold the same values? This is where the false self begins. In the quiet adoption of roles, labels, and expectations that may have nothing to do with who you really are. Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to navigate the world, to be accepted, to be loved. It is necessary to some degree. After all, we must function within society. But the danger lies in mistaking the mask for our true face. When we fully identify with this external persona, we lose touch with our innermost self, the deeper essence that remains hidden beneath layers of conditioning. But what happens when we live solely through this false self? Anxiety, dissatisfaction, a gnawing sense that something is missing, even when we seem to have everything. Have you ever felt like you're playing a role, reciting lines from a script you never wrote? This is the psychological cost of denying your true nature. Jung believed that repressing our authentic self leads to inner conflict. The parts of us that don't fit the persona, our desires, our fears, our unique quirks, don't disappear. They are simply buried in the unconscious, forming what he called the shadow self. The more we suppress, the more we struggle. We may chase success, relationships, or material wealth, hoping they will fill the void. But deep down, we sense that something is off. Consider the people who achieve everything society tells them should make them happy: a prestigious career, financial security, social recognition, only to find themselves feeling empty. This is the false self in action. It keeps us running, striving, performing, but never truly at peace. And unless we confront it, we risk waking up one day to the realization that we have lived a life that wasn't truly ours. So, how do we break free? The first step is awareness. You cannot escape a prison you do not see. Start questioning the beliefs you've inherited. Ask yourself, is this really what I want? Does this belief align with my inner truth? Or is it something I've simply accepted without question? Jung emphasized the importance of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming who you truly are, beyond societal conditioning. This requires deep self-exploration. It means listening to the quiet voice within you that has been drowned out by the noise of expectations. It means embracing discomfort, because the truth is often unsettling. One of the most powerful ways to reconnect with your authentic self is through inner dialogue. Journaling, meditation, or even honest conversations with yourself. Ask, if I stripped away everything I've been told I should be, who would I be? The answer may not come immediately, but every moment of self-inquiry weakens the grip of the false self. The journey back to your true self is not about completely rejecting society or abandoning all responsibilities. It's about integration, learning to navigate the world without losing yourself in it. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that have been silenced and allowing them to breathe again. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that you no longer need to prove anything to anyone, that your worth is not tied to external validation, that you can simply be. This is the essence of true freedom. Jung's wisdom teaches us that self-awareness is the key to liberation. The moment you begin to see the false self for what it is, a role, a construct, you create the possibility of something greater, a life that is authentically yours. And that, perhaps, is where real life truly begins. The shadow isn't born, it's created. In childhood, we are raw and unfiltered, expressing every emotion freely. But as we grow, we learn that some emotions are good and others are bad. We are praised when we behave a certain way and shamed when we don't. The child who expresses anger is scolded. The one who cries too much is told to toughen up. The one who questions authority is labeled as difficult. Over time, we adapt. We cut away the parts of ourselves that don't fit into the mold society gives us. The anger doesn't go away. It just gets buried. The sadness doesn't disappear. It hides beneath a forced smile. The desire for freedom and rebellion doesn't vanish. It transforms into quiet resentment. And all of these repressed aspects form what Jung called the shadow self, the part of us that we reject but never truly escape. But the shadow doesn't stay silent. It seeps into our lives in ways we don't recognize. It shows up in our irrational fears, in the way we judge others, in the self-sabotaging patterns we can't seem to break. We think we are in control, but in reality, the shadow is pulling the strings from behind the curtain. Have you ever disliked someone without knowing why? Or reacted in a way that surprised even yourself? That's the shadow at work. It thrives in secrecy, influencing our emotions, our relationships, and our decisions without our awareness. And the more we deny it, the more power it gains. But there is a way out. Jung believed that the path to true self-knowledge lies in integrating the shadow, not eliminating it. The goal is not to be pure or perfect, but to be whole. This means facing the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. It means asking, what am I ashamed of? What parts of me do I suppress? And instead of pushing those aspects away, it means bringing them into the light. When you integrate your shadow, something powerful happens. You stop being controlled by unconscious forces. You stop projecting your fears onto others. You become more authentic, more free. Because real strength isn't found in denial. It's found in the courage to face yourself fully, without fear. And once you do, you begin to unlock something even greater. The path to individuation. The journey of becoming your true self. From the moment we are born, we are given a script, a predefined set of roles, beliefs, and expectations that tell us who we are supposed to be. We wear masks to fit in, repress the parts of ourselves that don't align with societal norms, and live under the illusion that we are making choices freely. But beneath all of that conditioning, there exists something deeper, the true self, waiting to emerge. Carl Jung called the process of uncovering this true self-individuation, the lifelong journey of integrating all aspects of who we are, both the light and the dark, the known and the hidden. Individuation is not about self-improvement in the conventional sense. It's not about becoming someone better. It's about becoming someone real. But this journey is not easy. It requires dismantling illusions, questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself, and embracing the discomfort of transformation. It is the most challenging thing you will ever do, but also the most liberating. Because once you step onto the path of individuation, you stop living as a fragmented version of yourself and start experiencing life as a whole, integrated being. For most people, identity is something borrowed. It's shaped by parents, teachers, cultural traditions, and social expectations. But what happens when you begin to question it? What happens when you realize that the version of you that you've been living isn't a true reflection of who you are, but rather a patchwork of influences, fears, and external pressures? The first step toward individuation is awareness, the ability to see yourself with brutal honesty. You must ask, which parts of my identity have I chosen, and which parts have been imposed on me? What beliefs do I hold because they are truly mine, and which ones have I simply inherited? This level of self-inquiry is uncomfortable because it threatens the stability of the false self. But without it, true transformation is impossible. As you begin to strip away external conditioning, you will inevitably face resistance, not just from the world around you, but from within. The ego fears change. It clings to certainty, even if that certainty is built on illusions. This is why many people avoid the path of individuation altogether. It is far easier to conform, to stay within the boundaries of what is familiar, than to embark on a journey that has no clear destination. But for those who are willing to take the risk, the rewards are profound. Individuation is the process of unifying all the fragmented aspects of the self, the persona, the shadow, the unconscious desires and hidden truths, into a single, coherent whole. It is about becoming fully yourself, not just the version of you that is socially acceptable, but the one that exists beneath all of that. One of the greatest illusions of the modern world is the belief that happiness comes from external achievements, status, wealth, relationships, validation. But Jung knew that true fulfillment comes only when we are aligned with our deepest nature, when we stop living according to external scripts and start writing our own. Imagine waking up one day with a profound sense of inner peace, not because your life is perfect, but because you finally feel like you are living as you. No masks, no pretenses, no false identities, just the raw, authentic truth of who you are. This is the gift of individuation. And once you begin to understand yourself on this level, something extraordinary happens. Your entire perception of life changes. Because self-awareness isn't just about knowing who you are. It's about unlocking the power to transform everything around you. Most people go through life on autopilot, reacting rather than reflecting, following paths they never consciously chose. They chase goals they were told would make them happy, adopt beliefs they never questioned, and suppress feelings they never fully understood. And yet, deep down, something feels off, like a quiet voice whispering that there is more to life than this. That voice is self-awareness calling. It is the foundation of all personal transformation, the key that unlocks everything. Without it, we remain prisoners of unconscious patterns, trapped in cycles of self-sabotage, confusion, and dissatisfaction. But the moment we turn inward and begin to truly understand ourselves, everything shifts. Our decisions become intentional, our emotions become clearer, and life itself takes on a deeper sense of meaning. Self-awareness is not just about knowing your strengths and weaknesses. It's about understanding the hidden forces that shape your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It is about recognizing your triggers, your fears, your deepest desires, and the beliefs that have silently controlled you for years. Most importantly, it is about reclaiming the power to choose who you become. Think about it. How many times have you reacted to a situation in a way that later left you wondering, why did I do that? How often have you felt lost, unsure of what you really want, or trapped in patterns you can't seem to break? These struggles don't come from a lack of effort or intelligence. They come from a lack of self-knowledge. You cannot change what you are unaware of. Jung believed that much of human suffering stems from a lack of integration between the conscious and unconscious mind. The emotions we repress, the fears we ignore, and the patterns we fail to recognize don't just disappear. They control us from the shadows. But the moment we shine a light on them, when we stop running and start observing, everything begins to change. True self-awareness requires radical honesty. It means sitting with discomfort, facing truths you may not want to see, and accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. But the more you do this, the more clarity you gain. You begin to understand why you feel the way you do, why you make the choices you make, and most importantly, how to change the aspects of your life that no longer serve you. The greatest illusion of all is that we are powerless, that we are victims of circumstance, that our personalities are fixed, that our past defines us. But self-awareness reveals a different truth. We are constantly evolving, and we have the ability to rewrite our own story. The moment you stop living unconsciously and start making intentional choices, you take control of your destiny. And that is when life truly begins. If this video resonated with you, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. It really helps support the channel. We post videos every day exploring philosophy, self-discovery, and the deeper questions of life. See you in the next one.